team, I hope you're all well. Today I am here to give you my May and June wrap up. I did a separate wrap up for April. I usually do quarterly wrap ups, but I did a separate one for April because I did do 30 books in 30 days in April. So I'm here to give you my stats for the last 2 months and very quickly run through what I read and what I rated it. The last couple of months have not been good months for me. It's reflected in the fact that I read 30 books in 30 days in April, and in May I read 15. So I read half of that, it's not too bad. I read half. In June I read 6. And when you see the 6 I read, it's not like they're massive books. It's not been great, I'm not gonna lie. So, May, I did read 15 books. I read a total, I'm looking at my laptop, I read a total of 4,900 pages. So compared to the 8,432 I read in June, it's quite a bit lower. But I did read quite a few things that I did enjoy. So the first thing that I did do in May is make my way through some of Brandon Sanderson's short stories. Starting off with The Emperor's Soul, which I gave 4 stars. I do enjoy Brandon Sanderson's stories, like books in general. These short stories were quite a good collection and I did enjoy them. Off the top of my head, I couldn't tell you right now what The Emperor's Soul is about. Next, I did move on to The Hope of Elantris. I loved the world of Elantris and I'm so excited that it's gonna be a series now. I do think it's a bit strange that after so long he's going back to it and making it a series, but it is what it is. I'm not going to complain about getting more from the world. It was nice to go back and have more from that world because I did enjoy Elantris. And I did give that one 4 stars also. Then I did read The 11th Metal, which I also gave 4 stars to. And this one is from the Mistborn series. So again, it was nice to go back to that side of things, especially after struggling my way through Mistborn Era 2. It was nice to go back to Mistborn Era 1 and be back with some of my favourite characters. So I really enjoyed that one, 4 stars. Then Allomancer Jack and the Pit of Eltania. I gave this one 3 stars. Didn't enjoy this one as much, but it was still good nonetheless. It was okay. And then Mistborn Secret History, which got 4.5 if I gave half stars. In fact, The 11th Metal and Hope of Elantris also got 4.5 stars if I gave half stars. So yeah, did enjoy those short stories. They were very good. They definitely added to the stories and I'm having a good time. I'm excited now to continue on with Arcanum Unbounded because I've got it as the Arcanum Unbounded book. I'm excited to continue on with that as I continue on with Brandon Sanderson and read the short stories where I should be reading them rather than reading them as a stack and not kind of being in the headspace of that story as I'm reading it. So I'm looking forward to doing that with the rest of the series. Then I did move on to The Intimacy Experiment by Rosie Dannon, which was the Literature Book Club pick. I did give this one 4 stars. I didn't enjoy this one as much as The Roommate, which I have read previously, which is kind of like the first in this series. Naomi Grant, who is the main character in this series, the female MC, is actually the best friend of, I think, the male MC in the first book, if I remember correctly. So I did enjoy this one. I thought it was good. I'm not going to go through specifically what each of these books are about, but this is a romance, so I did give it 4 stars and we've had a conversation about this, so if you want to check it out, I'll try and remember to leave a link in the description box down below. Then I did read Solo Leveling Volume 2, which I gave 4 stars, 4.5 stars if I gave half stars. I think this is the one where I fell in love with Jinwoo. Yeah, I did. Totally fell in love with Jinwoo. This is like an RPG but as a manhwa. So it's a coloured, kind of like graphic novel if you want, but it's called a manhwa and I'm really enjoying it and I love Jinwoo. I do need to finish the series off. I've got the last 2 volumes that are currently out. Volume 7 comes out later on this year and I'm really excited. Then I did carry on with the Greenbone Saga and I read Jade War, which I did give 4 stars, 4.5 I gave half stars. Really enjoying this series. I think I gave, if I remember correctly, I gave Jade City 4 stars as well. I thought I would enjoy this one more than I enjoyed the Poppy War, but so far that's not happened, but I am still enjoying it nonetheless. This follows 2 warring clans, and they can use jade to enhance themselves. Essentially, it gives them like powers and stuff like that, and it's really, really good. Lots of politics, lots of war going on. The magic system's really good, and I'm really enjoying it. It was very, very shocking. Actually, something happened in this and I was really shooketh. Did not see it coming in the slightest. Then I continued on with solo leveling with a volume 3. Again, 4 stars, 4.5 if I gave half stars. Then I did read The Adventures of Amina Al-Sarafi by Shannon Chakraborty. I was so excited about this. I love the Daevabad trilogy. It's a 5-star series for me and I'm obsessed with it. So I was really excited about getting this one, albeit it's not the same. It is set in the same world, but it's set at sea, and I was concerned with the seafaring. I get really bad seasickness even reading books. I tried Fable by Adrian Young once and I had to DNF it because I got really bad seasickness reading it. It was ridiculous. I was sat on the couch, I wasn't on a boat. So I was really anxious about that, but I loved this. It was fantastic. 5 stars, absolutely obsessed. We're following a pirate called Amina, who is actually retired, and she lives at home with her daughter, and she ends up being dragged back into getting her crew back and going on this adventure for something, and it was really, really good. Basically she gets an offer she can't refuse, and it was really good, and I can't wait for I'm hoping there's going to be more in this series. Really, really hoping. I think there will be, but I'm very excited about it. 5 stars, outstanding. Then I did read Fruits Basket volume 1, and I really enjoyed this one. I've had my eye on Fruits Basket for a long time, and then finally treated myself to the first volume. I have since bought volumes 2 and 3 as well, so that I can continue on with the series, but I give this 4 stars. It was very, very good. It's following this young girl who ends up camping, Toru. She ends up camping on this family's land. She doesn't realise somebody owns it, and they end up taking her in, and they basically, if they are touched by the opposite sex, they turn into they turn into Chinese zodiacs, animals of the Chinese zodiac. It's very bizarre, but I really enjoyed it and I thought it was very good, and I'm very excited to continue on with the series. Then I continued on with solo leveling with volume 4. Again, 4 stars, 4.5 if I gave half stars. Then I did get my copy of Lore Olympus Volume 4. This book is so heavy, by Rachel Smythe. This is the gorgeous Illumicrate edition, absolutely stunning. The minute it came in, I read it. It was fantastic, 5 stars. I love this series. I don't think I will ever get bored of it. So I'm very excited to continue on. I think there's going to be 6 volumes, unless there's more than that, I'm not sure. I don't read them online. I know you can get access to them free online, but I don't read them online. I wait until they come in the mail from Illumicrate. Then I did a reread of Traitor's Blade by Sebastian de Castell. I felt a slump coming on and I really needed something to pick me back up. As you can tell, I read a lot of manga, graphic novels, manhwa in May, and I really needed to try and get back into some like novels essentially. So I did pick up Traitor's Blade. This is a reread for me and I did give it 5 stars. There was another reason I was rereading this, and it was because we were tabbing up, a group of us were tabbing up a copy of this for Jade for her birthday as a surprise. So I did need to reread it for that as well, and I had a great time doing that and I would absolutely do it again. It was fantastic. This is my copy, it's not been tabbed up, but she had no idea that's what we were doing and she just got it for her birthday. So very exciting, 5 stars for this. And then the last thing that I did read in May was Rogue Protocol by Martha Wells, which I think is book 3 in this series, if I remember correctly. This is the Murderbot series. Yeah, the Murderbot Diaries, which I absolutely love. We're following a Murderbot who just, it's a slice of life. We're following this Murderbot and we're just following them going about their life and the missions that they go on and the TV programs that they love watching, and it's just fantastic and I have a good time with it every time. It is a novella. It was really, really good and I did give it 4 stars. It was so good. I'm excited to continue on with that series also. So that was May's wrap up. And then in June, as I mentioned, I only read 6 books. They weren't ridiculously large books, Some of them were a bit bigger than others, but they weren't ridiculously large books, and I only read 1,984 pages. That might be my worst reading month and page count month ever in the history of man. You know, post actually reading, because there was a period of time where I just didn't read at all. I found it boring. Do not come for me. So the first thing that I did read was To Be Totally Fortunate by Becky Chambers. I gave this 2 stars. I've DNF'd Long Way to a Small Angry Planet before. I was really bored. It's an extremely character driven book with barely any plot, and I need there to be some plot. I can read a heavy character driven book, but there needs to be some plot. There's absolutely no plot in A Long Way to a Small Angry Planet, which is fine, but it's a book that doesn't work for me. So I DNF'd it about 250 pages in. I thought that because I then enjoyed The Robot and the Monk series by Becky Chambers, that I might then enjoy another novella from her. But it turns out that's not the case, because this was very similar to Long Way to a Small Angry Planet, in the sense that it was very character driven and there's barely any plot. I did finish it, but I didn't enjoy it. 2 stars, unfortunately. I was reading this for the Read the Rainbow vlog, which I ended up not finishing it because I got incredibly overwhelmed. I was slumping really hard, and I just couldn't get through the books. So I did get through some of them that I planned to read, but not all of them, and I'm really gutted about it, but it is what it is, and there's literally nothing I could do about it. So I do mention this in my June my June monthly vlog that's going to be coming up soon. It'll be mentioned in there rather than having a separate vlog like it was meant to. Then I did read Surviving to Drive by Gunter Steiner, which I did read for the F1 readathon. It's the only thing I read for the F1 readathon, 24-hour readathon. It took me such a long time, and this is not a long book. It's under 300 pages. 282 pages, and it took me the whole day to get through it. I gave this one 5 stars. This was fantastic. If you are a Drive to Survive fan, or even just an F1 fan without the Drive to Survive, you'll really enjoy this. But it feels like a season of Drive to Survive, but from Gunter's eyes, and it's so good. I did listen to the audiobook. I had to slow the audiobook down a little bit because of his accent, but I really enjoyed this. I thought it was fantastic, definitely eye-opening, and I would love to see more books from Gunter in the future. I gave it 5 stars. It was so good. Then one of the other books that I was going to read for the Reading the Rainbow video was Other Ever Afters by Melanie Gilman, which is a set of collection of graphic novels, actually a collection of comics, a collection of fairy tales in illustration format. I gave this 3 stars. It was good. What I did find was that some of the stories though were very open-ended, and I got to the end of some of these stories and I was like, I don't get it. I don't get what just happened. I don't understand it. There was one in here though. My favourite one was New Name. I thought that one was fantastic, but otherwise it was good, and I had a good time with it. The illustrations are beautiful, and I would recommend it. Then I did read The Worst Best Man by Mia Souza, which was the Literature Book Club pick for May. Yeah, I haven't read June's yet. So The Intimacy Experiment was the Literature Book Club pick for April. This was the book club pick for May, and I did give this one 4 stars. I enjoyed this one. I know that Ryan and Lexi didn't enjoy this one as much as they enjoy The Wedding Crasher, but they've read The Wedding Crasher first and then come back to this one. So I really enjoyed this one. I gave it 4 stars. I had a good time. It is enemies to lovers. Basically, she gets left at the altar, and she's left to believe that it was her fiance's brother that was the reason why the fiance left her at the altar. And then several years later, she ends up coming across the brother, and they end up building a relationship, and it was really good. I enjoyed it. I thought it was very well written, and I had a good time with this, so 4 stars for that. Then I did read another one that was going to be for the queer vlog, but I didn't end up continuing on with it because I only managed to get through 3 of the 7 books that I wanted to read, and it was Her Majesty's Royal Coven by Juno Dawson. I gave this one 4 stars. This was so good. I listened to the audiobook and I had a really good time with it. This is following a secret coven that protects crown and country, essentially, and it went in a complete direction I wasn't expecting. in the slightest, and I thought it was fantastic and I had a great time with it. The audiobook was so good, the narrator was so good. So would recommend, 4 stars for this one. And then last but by no means least, my 100th book of the year was my favourite book of the year to date, and that was Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. I absolutely loved this. It took me all month to read, but I was tabbing it up. I had such a fantastic time, I don't know if you can tell. I really loved this. It was outstanding. This is a fantasy romance following a young girl called Violet who gets... She basically wants to become a scribe, and she's meant to be joining the scribe quadrant. She ends up getting dragged into the dragon riders quadrant, and by her mother, and nobody expects her to be able to pass and survive, because she is small, she's quite weak, she's got brittle bones, and nobody expects her to pass. They see her as the weakest link. Anyway, she absolutely smashes it and it's fantastic. There's this guy that ends up in her quadrant called Zayden Ryerson, who is her enemy due to a previous incident with families, and she thinks he's going to kill her, and it's fantastic, and I absolutely loved every single second of it. It was so good, and I cannot wait for the next one to come out, which it does come out later on this year, and I'm so stoked. I've already pre-ordered it from Waterstones. So a whopping 5 stars for this one. Probably one of my highest rated books ever, I'm not gonna lie. So yeah, that was everything that I read in May and June. As I said, they were not particularly good months. June was terrible, other than the fact that I read my favourite book of the year. Overall, June was not a good month. Only 6 books, and one of those was a 2-star. It's not often I give out 2 stars. I usually DNF before they get to a 2-star. So that is surprising. But yeah, I'm hoping to sort my shit out in July and get back on track with things. I'm really hoping that's the case. I mean, it's the 4th of July. I've managed to finish 2 books, one of which I was over halfway through by the end of June. And the other one is a manga. So, you know, it is what it is. But slow and steady wins the race, so they say. So yeah, that was everything that I read in May and June. Chat to me in the comments down below. What was your favourite read of the last couple of months? Have you read any of these? Chat with me in the comments down below, and I shall see you in the next video. Bye for now.